Hey guys, this is Jenny Boyer, your instructor, and I promised to put up a weekly video for you guys. I failed on that last week. It was fall break. There was so much going on and so much to get caught up on after the portfolios were submitted that I didn't make that happen, and I apologize. But I'm making up for it now, so I'm going to put this video up, and it's going to basically cover PowerPoint basics that you guys should be working on in your projects. A lot of this stuff you basically did in Word. You're basically building on all of the concepts you learned in Word and applying them to now PowerPoint, which has some unique functionality that I'm going to go over. I do want to point out that I completed the, hang on a second, just get here. I completed grading portfolios. So if you log into Blackboard and look under Tools and look at My Grades, it's going to show you the grade that you were awarded for your portfolio. Now, this was the first of 4, but it counts for a lot of points. So if you missed out on this portfolio opportunity, then your grade is not in a good place. And I would suggest you contact me ASAP so we can talk about that. Now, the extra credit opportunity for Word closed yesterday at midnight. Hopefully you took advantage of that. If you did not, I'll be posting another one coming up soon that you can take advantage of. So if you didn't complete the portfolio, or if you missed the exam, or if you did poorly on either or both, you need to complete every extra credit opportunity offered for the remainder of the semester, and you also need to touch base with me on an individual basis, okay? Grading should be caught up. As of yesterday, I now have to grade the last discussion board that you guys completed, but other than that, everything's caught up. I did want to point out here that for discussion board 6, I had a lot of problems with people not being able to open the link. So as I've indicated here, I went ahead and gave everyone who tried that credit for it, regardless of whether or not you posted content based on the web page at Duke. So I appreciate everyone's effort there, and sorry about the frustration with that. We are now in week 8. So we are solidly halfway through the semester at this point, and you are embarking on PowerPoint Chapter 2 as of this week. So you've got a reading assignment to complete. Training and SAM has been deployed. You should be working on your Lab 1, creating a presentation, inserting photos, picture styles, and shapes. And then your writing assignment, okay? Let me make a note about portfolios here. I had some people, or I had many people, submit the incorrect labs, which is a little confusing to me since I specify the exact page on which you should start and the exact lab that you should be creating. So I was trying to work with everyone on that this go round, but for the next time, I need you guys to pay attention. Please excuse the phone. I need you guys to pay attention to that so that you're creating the correct lab for the portfolio, okay? That is very important. So now, let me get to a little PowerPoint presentation that we can talk about. Alright, so here's just a tiny little presentation that I created, and I'm just going to use it to demonstrate some things to you that are new to PowerPoint that you did not do in Word. We did a little exercise in class for my hybrids where we basically sat down and looked at Word as compared to PowerPoint to see what was different on the individual tabs and what was the same. I might challenge you to do that as well because it gives you sort of a nice baseline to understand what you should already be familiar with based on what you learned in Word and what you don't need to spend a whole lot of time on, re-familiarizing yourself with that for PowerPoint, and where you can focus your energy and attention for these next 3 weeks on PowerPoint. So as an example, on the Home tab, you have this new slides grouping. Everything else for the most part is fairly similar to Word. But in PowerPoint, you have the ability to insert individual slides, or using the drop-down, you can specify slides based on the individual layouts that are offered. Now, if you just clicked New Slide, right, but it didn't have the layout that you had intended, you can always change that by going up here to Layout and selecting it and selecting the correct layout that you were going for, and then moving forward by adding elements to your presentation. In this preview mode, I want you to notice that the slide you're working with is highlighted orange, and that's important because if you are trying to manipulate the slide, if you're trying to arrange it by moving it, if you're trying to delete it, you need to make sure that you know which slide you're working with within your presentation. Okay, so keep an eye out for that border to be able to identify to you where you are and what you're working with. If I inserted this slide erroneously and I wanted to delete it, I could either press the delete key or I could simply right click, and you see you have a variety of options available here, and you can delete the slide from this side, from this view, okay, to back out of that. To arrange slides or move slides, you need to make sure that you have the correct slide selected, and then holding down your mouse, you can drag, basically drag and drop the slide to the appropriate order within your presentation. Okay, so that's pretty easy stuff. If you want to copy a slide, you can either right-click and duplicate the slide, or you can simply use your copy and paste. And it will immediately, as you see, paste a copy of the slide just after the one that you initiated the copy from. So pretty easy stuff. On the Insert tab, you're going to do a lot with the Insert tab in PowerPoint because you're basically working with media within your presentation. You guys should be familiar with inserting tables now, browsing and inserting pictures, using online pictures, which is clip art. We've worked with shapes. We're going to do charts and smart art when we get to Excel. Text boxes are new, and I'm going to show you about that, and also word art. So let me give you an example of inserting a layout that includes a placeholder. I'm going to talk about placeholders, and then inserting one that does not. Okay, so in slide 6 that I just inserted, you see that I have, this theme comes preloaded, basically, with, these are called placeholders, these little boxes with dotted lines around them. So if I click in it, I can just automatically add a title. Okay, and the same thing for the placeholder here. I can click and add content, or I could use this, if I wanted to insert a piece of media, I could use this quick analysis tool to insert, this is clip art, or browse for a picture, or insert a table, right? So all different kinds of options available. So if I wanted to search for a picture to insert, and I do that, it's going to automatically preload it within that placeholder on the slide. I want you to notice the similarities from Word. When you have a piece of, or an element selected within your document or presentation, you see you have these handles available indicating that that piece of media is selected. If I selected this placeholder up here, the same thing would apply. This is basically just a shape, right, or a text box. So you get your Format tab available under Drawing Tools to do things like apply word art or identify a shape style. So there's all kinds of different things you can do once you have selected that individual element within your presentation. Same thing for pictures. So when I select it, I get my Picture Tools tab, and using that format, I'm able to do things like apply a picture style or change the color of the border, right? I can do all kinds of things. I can resize it. I can move it throughout the presentation based on where I want it to go. So in that instance, I was able to use an existing placeholder within this slide layout to insert this individual picture. But let's say now you wanted to insert some text, but you don't see another placeholder available to do that. You can easily accommodate that on the Insert tab. You can click Text Box, and you see you get a little arrow here so you can draw your box, and you can start typing your text. So here is some information about this picture. Okay, and then once your text is in place, you can highlight it, manipulate it however you see fit. So you can increase the font, change the font type, change the color, You can italicize it. You can do all kinds of things. Or on this Drawing Tools tab, you could even apply word art to it if you wanted to. So there's all kinds of things you can do. Just make sure you know which element is selected, and that's based on the item you see with the handles intact. And then select the text or select the picture itself, and then use the Format tab available to you to apply your different options, okay? Easy stuff. Most of this should come over with you from Word, but I just want you to be aware of it and remember it for when you're working within your presentation. Same thing with this layout. You see it comes equipped for a title. But down here I have no placeholders available. So again, in this instance, I would just visit that Insert tab. And whatever piece of media I wanted to use, I could automatically click it. Like if I wanted to insert word art, I could choose a particular type of word art that I'm interested in. It's going to give me my placeholder preloaded with text to replace. And by typing in your text, it's going to automatically pre-format it with the word art you selected. Okay, so easy stuff again. I don't think anyone's going to have any problems with this, but I just want you to be aware of how to do that. So that's basically what you're going to do on the Insert tab. You can also insert slide numbers. So by clicking here, you're able to specify that you want slide numbers to view. And in the little preview environment here, it's going to black out the space in the slide where that's going to show up. So in this instance, your slide number is going to go there in the bottom right. And I can apply that individually or to all slides. Same thing for including the date and time or a special note in the footer. So I'm going to apply just my page or a slide number here. And it's teeny tiny, but you should see that it automatically populated there within your slideshow. We're going to get to media next week, actually. You're going to start inserting video and audio clips next week, so you don't have to spend any time on that right now. Now, on the Design tab, you have different themes available to you. You did this in Word. You were able to choose a specific theme, identify theme colors. In PowerPoint, you're able to identify themes for your presentation and then variations of that theme. So here I have this organic theme selected, but if I liked this dark wood grain better, I could hover over it, kind of see what it looks like, and then when I click it, I can apply that throughout my presentation. And then you see it automatically updates everything. The other thing you're going to use, especially for week 2, is this Format Background option. So if I click that, you see I get various options here for formatting my background. So you have the option to insert a solid fill, and this is applied to this individual slide. Again, if I wanted to apply it to all, I'd need to select that. I could do a gradient fill, which is basically what you see here, where you get a fade effect. Or I could insert a picture. So if I click that, I can use this File option to browse. Let me see, I've got a picture saved on my flash drive. Okay, so any picture you have available, you could insert that, and that could become the background of your presentation. So again, you can use what's available on the clipboard, that's sort of like clip art, or in this instance, you're going to browse for a file and insert it to be the background of your picture, or of your slide. You can change the transparency, which basically is the intensity of the image, or how opaque it is. Or alternately, you could specify a texture. You're actually going to do both of these in your presentation for this week, I believe. By selecting texture, again, same option. You're going to browse and see what options you have available. And then by clicking it, it's going to automatically apply that to the background of your slide. Pattern fill is just, again, another option available to you. You have different patterns available, and you have the ability to change the color of the background and the foreground of that pattern. And again, apply that to all slides or just on an individual basis. This hide background graphics, if you click that, you see the effect there? It basically just removes everything aside from the background of the slide. So that's the Design tab. Transitions are new to PowerPoint. So transitions, as you can see here, I have transitions applied, and you know that because of this tiny little star that appears beside my slides in my presentation. So if I ran my slideshow now, which you can do here, down here in the bottom right, click slideshow. You see my transitions as I page through, right? We're going to get to animations in a second. But transitions are essentially how you page through your slide. So make sure you have the individual slide selected. And you see here I have this push transition in place, but I could change it. Right? It's going to give you a preview. To see that again, you can click your preview button. All right? And you can apply that transition to everything or just on an individual basis. To apply to all, you just click here, and it's going to apply that transition to everything. Right? So then if you click slide 2, you see that that transition has now been applied. You can add a sound if you choose. You can specify the duration. So what that is how slow or how fast the transition happens. And then you can specify how to advance your slide. So by default, it's going to be set to go on mouse click, or you can set it to just automatically happen after a certain period of time. Now to animations. Animations are specific to the media included on your slide. So I actually had an animation in place for this picture. You see that indicated here by that number 1. I have the same thing in place for this picture. Let me do this picture here, which I inserted, which does not have an animation in place. And you see it's specified as none. So if I wanted to do the, let's see, bounce, you see the effect there. And if you want to see it again, you can preview it. Right? And so once you have that in place, you're going to see it. And then when you run your slide and click enter, it's going to automatically generate that animation within your slideshow. Okay? And again, with timing, it's set to start on click, but you can change that. Okay? You can also change the duration, which again is how fast or slow the action happens. And you can set it to delay or to start with a certain delay after advancing to your particular slide. Okay? Your slideshow options, right? You can start your slideshow from the current slide. The same thing will happen if you click this button here, down by your zoom. Or you can begin from the beginning of your slideshow. All right, and you page through by clicking enter or clicking with your mouse. All right, to close your presentation in the middle, you can simply click the escape button and it'll back you out of it. The review tab, but pretty much is new, so you're going to always check your spelling, always, that's important. On the View tab, you have some different options available. This is the normal view. You have an outline view. You also have a slide sorter view. And then if you had notes in place, you have a note view. So let's talk about notes for a second. If you're in normal view, you see that you have the option to add notes. So what is that? Well, the purpose of PowerPoint is to be presentation software. So you only want to include highlights of your content on the slides themselves. The notes is where you're able to add information for yourself to be able to give to your audience when you give your presentation. So here are some notes to remember for my presentation. So now if I go to my notes page, you'll be able to see what that looks like, right? Your slide in place and then your notes. Alternately, if I went to print this presentation, like if I were preparing to give a presentation, you can change the default from full page slides to your notes view. And then when you print them, you'll be able to see the slide itself and the notes beneath it. So that's pretty helpful. And that's available in that backstage view on the File tab. So those are mainly the new elements of PowerPoint that you did not cover in Word. Let me change that back to normal view. So in these projects, you're going to basically be adding new slides. You're going to be specifying the layout. You're going to be setting a particular design based on the theme that you want to use. And then you're going to be populating your presentation with content, right, and with media. So your content is basically the text that you want to include, and your media are all of those elements available on the Insert tab. So together, you're able to create a visually appealing product that allows you to give a presentation to relay information to a given audience. I do want to demonstrate to you one more thing before we finish up here. On the File tab, if you click New, you have a variety of templates that are available online for you to search for. So there are categories available to you, or you could just use this search option. But these are more, shall we say, mature themes than are available preloaded into PowerPoint. So you might choose to use these if you're creating a presentation for a specific purpose. So if you're creating one for education, you can see all of the different ones that are available, right? And some of these are going to come equipped with content as well, whereas if you're choosing a template on the Design tab, this is just affecting how it looks and feels, right? So just understand the difference between the two and also how to access those online templates using that backstage view. So that basically covers it. Hopefully I'll be able to get a video up for you next week that will cover our PowerPoint Chapter 3, which is going to include these new media elements such as inserting audio and video. But for now, that should give you what you need to be working on your Labs 1 and 2 for the Chapters 1 and 2 of PowerPoint. So I hope you all have a great rest of the week, a great weekend, and we'll talk with you again next week. See you then.